Good afternoon, and welcome to a moment in the Word here at New Beginnings House of Worship. We want to say happy Mother's Day to all of you out there as we celebrate Mother's Day this weekend, actually on Sunday, but this weekend is just a Mother's Day celebration, a time to celebrate and honor mothers for all that they have done in our lives. We're on a little early today. We understand, but it's because we have a funeral to go to, and we need to go in and do our Bible study. Do it a little early so that I can get on out and get there and meet with the family before the funeral starts. And so we thank you for being here with us. Tag a family member, a friend. There's something that God has for us on this day. And so today we're going to go to the book of Exodus, chapter 2. Exodus chapter 2. We're going to lift up verses 1 through 4. We chose this passage of scripture so that mothers, sometimes we look at one side of motherhood or one side of women in our lives, and that's okay, But there's something I think that we've kind of overlooked in times past, and so maybe just for a thought today, we want to try to touch the hearts of those who may have been left out of motherhood, those who have experienced difficulties in motherhood, those who had to make some tough decisions in motherhood. And so this book of Exodus is going to touch some of the hearts. And so be with us, pray with us, and pray for those mothers that are out there that are dealing with various situations that aren't the typical norm of the way we view motherhood and being the virtuous woman. And that is a wonderful thing. But we want to deal with a few things out there that may help somebody. Exodus chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. And it says, "And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived, and bare a son. And when she saw him, that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him." Amen. And so this is the story of the beginning of Moses' life. Moses, we know, has gone on to be a great leader in Israel and for the Hebrew children. And some great things have happened to him. His life experiences weren't the typical experience for a Hebrew person, but God, but God. And so we just want to tag this study as a caring mother, a caring mother. Mothers care for their children in all sorts of ways. They make sure that they have enough to eat, that they're well taken care of, that they're warm, that they're not left without. They're not sitting in a diaper for too long. They have to change those diapers. And yes, daddies, fathers get in there and help, hopefully more than many prescribed. But most of the time, it's left to the task of the mother to handle some of those things. And when the mother's not there, the father and whoever has to step in and do that. Motherhood is a special time. It's a special time to recognize what God has blessed them with and to usher themselves, especially for a mother for the first time, into motherhood, giving birth to a child, carrying it for the 9 months. Hopefully it lasted that long, but had whatever length of time that gestation period lasted, and carry that child. Sometimes they have early births, and sometimes they have breech births. And so there are a lot of issues and things that go on in childbirth that for a first time mother and giving birth to that child and seeing what God created through them and their spouse, their mate, then we celebrate those times. But there are some times when the conditions in life require some other things to be done. And so, as we look into this text in chapter 1 of Exodus, we are told of a period of time when there was another Pharaoh that came about that did not know Joseph. And so, Joseph was known by the God he served. And the Pharaoh that was with Joseph at that time did blessed him and allowed him to bless his family, which created this whole nation, this Hebrew nation that came and lived there under their protection during the time of famine. And so this new Pharaoh, this new governing body, wasn't favorable to outside people, people who were not born there, or who, excuse me, what wasn't of the Egyptian culture nationality. And they wanted to get rid of them because they feared them, because there was so many of these Hebrew children being born that they said, you know what, if a war break out, whose side are they going to be on? There's so many of them, they might side with the other people and take us. That's what happened when fear comes in. That's what happened when we allow the enemy, the adversary, to come in and make us fear somebody because they're not like us, because they don't look like us, because they weren't born here naturally. They came here and been here and just been squatting here, and now they want to. It looks like they want to take over. Fears come in. And we are afraid of people from other countries that are here. We call them immigrants. We call them aliens. We call them all sorts of things. But let's get to the point of this message today. Here they were set to, that Pharaoh made a decree for the midwives to, I tell you what, when they give birth to a child, if it's a male, kill it. If it's a female, let it live. Midwives feared God. They wouldn't do it. And so the Pharaoh was upset, and he told them, well, they were having the baby so fast, before we get there, they already had it. And so now Pharaoh says, anyone who has a male child, kill it. And so that decree went out, and it brings us to this point here. Mothers, whatever happens in society, sometimes it adversely affects you because you have a child that's born in that system. Whether you know you have a black male child and growing up in a society that doesn't look favorably towards him, or maybe it's a Hispanic child, or whatever nationality where that governing body doesn't look favorably upon those people. And so here we are. And it says, there was a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi. This is the priesthood. And so now this man who gives birth, marries this woman, and she conceives. It didn't talk about the daughter being born. And I think his brother, he had another brother already. But as we look into this text, and it says, and the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. She went through her pregnancy and she gave birth to a child, and looked on that child and saw something about this child that was extraordinary. And don't you know that when we are doing what God asks us to do, to be fruitful and replenish the earth, when we're doing what God asks us to do, when we are following his commands, no matter what situation we find ourselves in, then something comes about that the world doesn't like. And I want to just say the world because we don't want to get, we can go down the path of where it's coming from, the government, this person, that person in charge of this, that, or the other. But it's really our adversary who's attacking us. And we have to know the way our adversary works. So you have to be prepared for the battle that comes about. So this mother saw this child and decided, I can't kill my child. There's something about this child that is something special. And it would be difficult for any mother to kill her child in the first place. But she saw something special about this child, and she hid him for 3 months. Now, it's kind of hard to go about and hide a child for 3 months. because the child would begin to cry. The child would do things. So people around would hear this crying baby and know that a child is born. They saw her pregnancy. And so, but they didn't know maybe whether it's a male child or a female. But at this 3 months point, she knew that she couldn't hide him anymore, that he was a male child. And so here, this caring mother decide, I have to do what's best for the life of my child. And I want you to think about this for a moment, because this mother did, let's read verse 3. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And so these reeds, and when they said flags, that's the reeds along the riverbank. And so this mother had to give up her child. There are many mothers out there who, no fault of their own, in a situation where, you know what, I can't do right by this child, and may be giving their child up for adoption. You know, we don't have women are making bulrushes and putting them in baskets and making sure that the child doesn't drown in the water, because that's what she took these reeds and daubed it down with a pitch so that the water wouldn't get in, and made sure that it was a good, safe vessel for the child to float down the river. Now, that doesn't protect it from alligators and all of these things, but she had another plan to watch out for things with that. But let's deal with this whole point of giving up her child. And there are situations, and we have, thank God that there are these boxes at certain fire halls. And then it may not be nationwide, but in certain cities, they have these boxes where these safe boxes that if a mother give birth to a child, you just drop the baby in there, no questions asked. We want to make sure that that child is taken care of. And we in society may look down on women that do that. She didn't care, out there getting pregnant and having a baby, and she shouldn't have gotten pregnant in the first place, and this, that, and the other. All the things that we might say, not knowing that woman's circumstances. Maybe indeed that child being in that home wasn't going to be a good choice for that child to have the best life that it could have. And so we have these drop boxes. There are some women who, let's just face it, have abortions because they can't. But this woman decided to have her child. And because of the circumstances there, as opposed to allowing that child to be put to death, executed because of the ruling party's decision of killing off these male children so that there would be fewer men to impregnate women and their population would hopefully decrease. And whatever methods are used in society today, we're going to round up the worst of the worst and get them out of this country. Whatever that situation is, mothers, continue to pray for your children. Even mothers are being taken away. People who aren't criminals, the worst of the worst. And so the whole notion that someone is looking out for their best interests becomes a detriment to others because they have been marked as not worthy, not fit to be in this country. This mother, and now there are mothers out there and across this nation that are having to make some hard decisions. And we want to give honor to those who care enough about their child to not kill that child or not place that child in a harmful situation. There are some situations that we don't still to this day fully understand. Postpartum depression. There were stories in times past of a mother who drove herself and her children off a bridge into the river, into a ocean or whatever, but a body of water, killed her children. There was a story years ago of a mother who placed her child in the oven and turned the oven on. And there's stories across this country of people who have either postpartum depression or have some mental disorder or something going on in their life that they felt that the only choice they had was to kill their child. There have been mothers who have had given birth to children and didn't, because of the shame of it. No one knew they were pregnant. They hid it, and I know it's hard to believe that you can hide a pregnancy, but you can, and it's been done. And then when the children were born, killed them. Twins here in Tennessee, or two big. Yes, I think yes, it was twins, and the mother killed the children, and they found them dead in a basket somewhere. And so there are situations out there. And we want to say to you mothers that are going through hard times and difficult situations in your life, don't kill the child. Be a caring mother. There are opportunities for you to give that child up for adoption. If you're nervous and afraid that somebody's going to know about it and you've been trying to hide it, the shame of it, because society puts shame on women for being pregnant out of wedlock, give that child up for adoption. Do something to drop it off. If there's a safe box in your neighborhood, drop it off. Don't just put it at somebody's doorstep in the cold of night. You don't know if someone will find it or an animal will come across it. But we want to say to you out there, we know that there are situations that come about. We're not condoning just getting pregnant and giving children away left and right. No, be responsible. But if there are situations in your life, and if you are out there on this weekend that we call Mother's Day, and maybe you had to give up a child and nobody knows about it, take heart and know that at least you did something to protect that child. If you gave the child away, if you did something with that child to further its advantage in life, God still sees you and still cares for you. And maybe that was the best thing for that child. Take the shame off of it. Remember that God is the giver of life and that we don't have control of that. A caring mother will make sure that if I can't do what's right for the child, maybe someone else can. Look further into the text that when she laid the child in the river, and verse 4 says, and his sister stood afar off to wit or to watch, to know what would be done to him. That was the only choice of protection that the child had. Now, what the sister could have done if an alligator came about, we don't know. And we just thank God for that. In this situation, that child was found by Pharaoh's daughter. But notice this in this text. You have a caring mother. You have a caring sister who would walk along the way to find out, to make sure the mother trusted that the daughter would be safe and would be able to watch and keep eye on the child to see what happened to him. And when they found that the child, when Pharaoh's daughter found the child, she took him in and lived in Pharaoh's house. Now, isn't that something? The man who wanted to kill the Hebrew male children because he feared what would happen if this population continued to grow was the one who ended up having him in his household to raise him. God will use your enemies to bless you, to care for you. And Moses, as we know, turned out to be one of the best leaders, one of the faithful leaders in the Hebrew nation that we know of and that we study about. And so you don't know the greatness in that child. Don't just give up the child and say, because my life is bad. Or when I say give up the child, don't take the child's life. Maybe because your situation is bad and you think that only bad things are going to happen, so I'd rather this child die now than to go through life like this. God has people out there that still care, that will adopt a child, that will take children into their homes in foster care. There are various things, and yes, and some of those systems have weaknesses in it, yes. But if there's enough caring people out there, you be first, the caring mother, to make sure and to see that that child is taken care of. And who knows, Maybe at some point in time, just like with Moses, he found out who his mother, his real mother was, and became a caretaker for her as well. And we don't know what how a child might feel. And sometimes mothers, you don't want anyone else to know, and you don't want them to tell the children who you are. Think of the child. Do what's best for the child. Care for that child in the best way that you can. And if you have to give that child up, at least give that child the opportunity at some point to know who their real mother is. And yes, it can be difficult. I understand. But a caring mother, his mother, did everything she could to keep that child with her. But when she could not hide him, she did what was the best thing for him, that he would not be sacrificed, that he would not be killed. And that's what a caring mother does. And so for all you mothers out there who may have to give up a child, happy Mother's Day to you too. Don't allow Satan to put the guilt of shame upon you. Just know that you continue to pray to God. Keep holding the truth of God's word, and know that God has forgiven you for whatever you think you may have been sinful in your life, maybe in the process of having the child. Whether if there's all a myriad of things that could be that maybe you did, the shame of it was too much for you to bear at that time as a child, or even as an adult. Know that God cares and God hears. So for all you caring mothers out there who may have had to give a child up for adoption, or maybe gave your child up and never knew what happened to them, happy Mother's Day to you. Take the guilt and shame off. Trust God for what he has for you. And you too will be called a virtuous woman. God bless you and God keep you. We hope that you will join us on tomorrow at the 10 o'clock hour for our worship service. We continue with Mother's Day celebration. And to all you mothers out there, once again, happy Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's Day to my mother in heaven, and to my mother in love, my mother's wife who's in heaven. Happy Mother's Day to you as well.